Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about how to solo tanks as Sundance and McKay. As I'm sure you guys have noticed, their C5 has been nerfed from 3 down to 2, which makes taking a tank out all by yourself a little bit more difficult. But in this video, I wanted to show you that it can definitely be done. C5 on these specialists is far from worthless, and in my opinion, people are kicking up a little bit too much of a fuss about it for no reason. Guys, as always, if you enjoy the content here, hit that subscribe button, hit up the like button below, and again, if you guys think you're subscribed but you're not sure, maybe go check down below, because you may actually not be, you may just be seeing these videos from the recommended section, and every time I say this, a bunch of you guys subscribe, so that would be really awesome if you guys can check that out for me. And as always, guys, thank you for the support. Okay, so a lot of people have been very negative about this change, and I can certainly understand both why DICE made the change, as well as why players are annoyed about this change being made. So DICE have essentially made this change to give tanks a little bit more survivability and a better chance of being aggressive and pushing flags. If you have assault players who aren't really fulfilling a specific anti-vehicle role, coming in and being able to solo you and C5 you, that isn't really very encouraging for a tank to push onto an objective. On the flip side though, I know why a lot of people have been picking Sundance and picking McKay, because you have had classic examples of tanks, and especially Wildcats, camping all the way back on the enemy team, often sometimes even in their spawn, and the only characters that can reach that vehicle safely are Sundance and McKay, because they have those traversal mechanics that all of the engineers in the game don't have, that Dozer doesn't have, and all of these other specialists would simply die because you have to go out of bounds into the enemy deployment to actually take out that camping tank. Now, DICE also reduced the range of the anti-air cannons on the Wildcat quite significantly by about 150 meters or so that should help to push these camping Wildcats out of the spawn and make them essentially useless and obsolete if they sit in the spawn. But I think it's fair to say that players have taken this very negatively. A lot of people have been suggesting just not taking C5 at all. They've now been running armor plates because they see it as somewhat useless if you can't solo an enemy vehicle. But I really disagree. First of all, C5 has so many uses outside of soloing vehicles, especially if you're playing, let's say, Conquest on Haven. This map is absolutely littered with houses that you can hide in, and oftentimes the best way to get in there is simply breach one of the walls with C5 so you can run in and kill the people inside, or maybe just kill them on the other side of the wall with the C5 itself. C5 is also really nice for throwing around corners at infantry. It's great for throwing off of balconies to people on lower levels without having to jump down there and risk yourself. There is a myriad of different uses for it. Plus, even if you can't solo a vehicle yourself, you can still use it to chip in some damage, and I think that's something that all Battlefield players have to improve at. Most of the time, people won't bother going for a vehicle if they don't think they can get the kill themselves, but in this game, every little helps. One RPG, one M5, even putting down one C5 if you happen to be close to a tank and you're playing as Assault and you happen to have the C5 can really help with taking out that annoying ram, for example, on this Haven map. However, if you guys still do want to be able to solo a tank, and you do find that there's a tank camping all the way back in the map, nobody's hitting it with missiles, and it's essentially all up to you, there is a way that you can do that. So a lot of people don't know this. Here we have a tank with a nice Christmas skin, I might add. But where you hit the tank with the C5 is a big deal. Most people just sort of, you know, plop it on there wherever they can. They just sort of throw it down like that. Don't really think all too much about it. But if you go and put it on the rear of the tank here, look at this grill, not on the lights here, but as close to the center of this grill as you can get. And as you can see, 2C5 is actually plenty to take down one tank. Now, I think it's fair to say that situation is not always going to be possible. If you zoom in here as Sundance or as McKay, and you can see that this tank is completely unaware of your position, then sure, it's worth running around the back and putting those two C5 on the center grill here, on the rear grill. However, a lot of the time, this tank is going to start backing up, he's going to see you, he's going to start swiveling his turret in your direction, and what you want to do then is just get the C5 down as quickly as you can and explode like that, right? And that takes him down to 24 health, and as you can see, the turret, more often than not, is going to be disabled. Now, he's going to start backing up, and he's probably going to start trying to attack you. And all you do then is you do this. Take some AP rounds. Take an assault rifle that has an underbarrel grenade launcher with 2 AP rounds. And that's it. job done. Bob's your uncle. Now, obviously, yes, this is going to take a little bit longer than it would previously have taken you to put down 3 C5. And during that time, during that window, you could die to an enemy, or perhaps the driver of the tank could jump out and kill you himself. But more often than not, he's aware that if he jumps out and you kill him, well, then you're going to have the opportunity to actually take his tank, which is really not good. So more often than not, the driver of the tank is going to stay in there and go down with the ship, so to speak. By the way, if you guys want the best assault rifle for underbarrel grenade launchers, it is the AK-24. The reason being, it has the fastest reload time. And I'm sure you guys could tell from that example, the reload is pretty quick. So as far as I know, there are only 2 assault rifles in the game that have the AP underbarrel grenades. And that is the AK-24 or the SFAR. You could also use the HE grenades. I know they do some damage to tanks. Maybe they don't do quite enough though. You can take a full tank down to 24 health with the 2 C5, and I think the AP grenades do 15 damage each. So you definitely need at least that. Actually, let's just try this real quick here. Let's put our 2 C5 down. What does that do? He's got 24 health again. And let's go with the HE grenade. Yeah, we only get 1 of those. So that is not going to do it. You're going to have to use the AP grenades, and that means you're going to have to take either the AK-24 or you're going to have to take the SFAR. I think it's still worth it, right? That shows there are 2 different ways here that you can solo tanks, either by being careful and getting the correct hits with the C5, or by using AP grenades and having a much easier time of it with either the SFAR or the AK-24. Now, I know people will probably still complain and say, I don't want to use the AK-24 or I don't want to use the SFAR. I want to run an SMG and be able to kill tanks. Well, you know, you've also got to remember, this is the assault class. Their dedicated role is not anti-armor. They're supposed to just have a little bit of a helping hand to take out the armor alongside the engineers. So, like I said at the start of the video, you can throw down 1 C5, maybe 2 C5 here and there, chip in your own little bit of damage, and do your part in taking down that enemy vehicle. They're not really designed to be able to solo tanks, and I think Battlefield 2042 players in general have gotten a little bit too used to that being the case, especially with these specialists like Sundance and McKay that have insane mobility. In any case, guys, I hope that helped some of you guys out. Leave a like down below, let me know what you think about the C5 nerf to Sundance and McKay, and of course Dozer, although not many people really use him for anti-vehicle. If you missed this video the other day, check it out. We are covering all of the weapons in Battlefield 2042 Season 7 and where they rank in the current meta. But otherwise, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.